Debbie, thank you so much for joining. I would love if we get started, could you just maybe describe your business and your role at the business?
Yeah, so we're a third-party fulfillment company, and I kind of say it's like mini Amazon, but not everything that Amazon does. But
Got it.
it's, shipping, packing, picking orders. So we're an extension of people's brands. So if someone has something that they ship out, we handle the packaging and shipping of it so that they can focus on their core competencies. So that's what we do. My role, I'm co-owner with Dan and I guess technically vice president, but I wear many hats. So I
Cool.
handle a lot of HR, some of the IT, because that's my background, do a lot of the billing, handle process improvements, and I like to say that I'm Dan's helpmate. So I just kind of fill in the gaps where he needs it. Yeah.
Love it. Okay, great. And before we started working together, would you say, was your Promofill's main struggle with time?
I wear so many hats. There's a lot of things that I'm juggling at one time,
Mm,
and Dan as well, because we're both business owners. There's just a lot of things coming at us
right.
constantly. So we were struggling to get the important things done.
Mm,
We would have a big task list, and they were task lists everywhere, sticky notes, written hand notes, emails that were flagged. So lots of
mm,
different areas where we had things to do, but then we'd go into the day and just try to really tackle the ones that you can get done quickly so that you feel like you got to win.
mm,
But then week after week, that big task that's really important to the company never gets touched. So
mm,
I felt like that, just stressed all the time that I just
mm.
could never get anything done. Plus, I'm part-time because I'm a mom as well. And so I only have a limited amount of time that I actually work on Promofill stuff. I work on a lot of home stuff and a lot of volunteer stuff. So it was just juggling all of that.
Yeah, that sounds super stressful. Sounds like a lot.
Mhm.
Do you remember how did you originally discover Time Boss?
When we were at Convene, you came as a
Right.
speaker, and we were very intrigued. After that meeting, Dan and I were like, we need this. Like, this is something where we need to become the boss of our time. Yeah,
Yes.
totally.
I
Mhm.
love that. And how do you remember about how long it was from when we first met at Convene until we started working together?
About a month, right?
Yeah, I think it was
I
about a
think
month.
so.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We talked about it, maybe even in like a couple weeks. I was like, you need to call him. We need to see what that cost and if it's doable.
I love that. Before we worked together, was there any doubt you guys had as you thought about Time Boss, as you thought about evaluating? Was there anything you were concerned about or weren't sure about before you made that decision?
No, the only thing we didn't know was cost.
Yeah.
And we were struggling. We had very limited cash flow at the time. And
Mm.
that was something we were trying to, keep a tabs on. So we're like, well, how much is this going to cost? And is it even doable? Because usually when you bring a consultant in, it's like, we've done this before. We spent a bunch of money and we're like, there's no real value in what we just spent. So we're always
Mm.
a little hesitant on consulting.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. That's great. So,
Yeah, because sometimes you get consultants come in and you're like, what did that even give us? We just spent, $8,000 and we didn't get anything out of it. We're still in the same spot we were.
right. Well,
Yeah.
since you're on this call, I'm hopeful that there's a
Yes.
better. So,
Yes.
after we started working together, what did you implement and what was your experience?
So first we just used what I loved is that we could use the tools that we already owned. So we didn't have to
Mm,
invest in any new tools. And it
mm,
was just a matter of what are we using now? Because I didn't want to have to retrain. And we wanted to bring our general manager into it because we knew that he needed to be on board with the tasks that we were prioritizing. And so we're like, well, we don't want to have to retrain a new tool because I've tried that before because my background is also in project management.
right.
But there's so many project management tools, but they can get very complex. And then you try to
Yes.
get other people to use it and it just doesn't get used.
Mm,
So I loved that. And we just started implementing. First was just getting our own tasks in order and getting it digitally in one spot, taking all of those sticky notes and putting it in one spot. It took a little while for Dan, but I came alongside him and kind of, let's walk through your tasks. What do you got? And then,
Right.
of course, I ended up with more tasks. But that's okay. That's okay. That
Yeah.
was the point, right? Offload some of
Right.
his plate because he generally has higher priority things than I do. And so I was working on things that helping him work on higher priority things and letting my tasks that I thought were important slide is actually better.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's great. And how did that impact your day-to-day experience implementing those things?
It is still one of those habits that you have to do. It's you have to
Absolutely.
because there's been a week or two here where I'm like, oh, I've not done my,
Yeah.
daily time planning, and I'm like scrambling, and I look at the end of the day and I go, what did I even do? I took whatever was thrown at me, but I didn't get done what was supposed to be done. And so it is a habit that you have to force yourself to do, just kind of like going to the gym. You got to plan that time in your calendar to put everything together and map out your day. And when I do that, I find a lot more successes.
No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And it sounds like it reduces the stress, it reduces that overwhelm of the franticness.
Yeah, because you're like, okay, I have my day planned out, I can tackle it, and things that come at you, you can plan ahead in different days and you can set expectations. Well, I'm not going to get to that now, but I will get to that tomorrow or whatever day.
Mm,
And
no,
that's helpful. Yeah.
I love that. You mentioned with the team, there just was flagged emails and sticky notes and all the different things. What's been your experience now as a team doing Time Boss together?
Yeah, so we did, speaking of the tools we already had, we started using Planner in our Teams app, which we already owned, and it was easy to use. And so now we're meeting every week and reviewing kind of those high priority items and then kind of talking through them so that we're all on the same team. And actually, we're starting to implement with our warehouse supervisor, just at least the tasks and the planning. And I think for the most part, it's making us all organized and helping us to communicate. And
Mm,
that was the key is we weren't communicating. I mean, he would communicate with me because we're husband and wife. So we're talking all the time. And
of
he would
course.
say, gosh, I've asked so and so to do this for like 2 weeks now. And I'm like, well, have you followed up? No, you
Mm,
haven't followed. You can't get mad at them. You haven't even followed up with them. Like you have to continue. So these weekly meetings and follow-ups have been so beneficial just in
that's awesome.
communication. Yeah.
I love that. That's great.
Mhm.
So now that you all at Promofill have experienced these results, who else do you think might be a good fit for Time Boss? Who else would this be a good fit for?
You know what? I think it's a good fit for anybody. I actually had a girlfriend in one of the volunteer organizations that I work with tell me, she's so stressed. She's got her work plus her volunteer, and then she's going through a home remodel. And I'm like, you know what? You should look into Time Boss and just map it out and organize your day and put the priority things in and make sure they get done. It's like, I think anyone could probably benefit from it. From our team, we even have our warehouse supervisor who's not a meeting person or a calendar person, but it's going to help him stay organized in the things that he has to get done, right? And keeping
Mm,
them the higher priority things like that have deadlines, making sure that they don't get missed, so we don't miss
mm.
service level agreements.
That's awesome. That's so great.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned the concern of what's it going to cost? Is this consultant going to come in and do a bunch of stuff, but we're not going to get any value from it? So if someone had those same doubts, knowing what you know now, how might you encourage them?
Um, just try it. It's not that hard to try, and once
Mm,
you try it and you make it a habit, the benefits, we actually saw the benefits within the first week of just
amazing.
getting our tasks in order. Just because I love how when you sat down with us, you took us, you let us take a bite off a little bit at a time. You didn't just fire hose us with the entire thing. You're like, okay, first you're going to try this, and then we're going to add this in, and then we're going to add this in. And so it's easy to implement because you're just doing piece by piece, and you actually see the benefits even with the first piece.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, Debbie, thank you so much for your time. Super
yeah,
grateful and appreciate all your feedback.
of course.